What's up, YouTubers? PokeJediTrek's here. So once again, I am at the Alaska State Fair, and you're not going to believe this, but I actually bought a ticket to the fair this year, and it was an accidental one because I thought my mother, because I bought it out of habit because I didn't know, as I'm going to the fair again this year with my mother and step-grandfather, and I didn't know my step-grandfather was going to pay for my own ticket. How stupid of me. Like, reason why I'm wearing a raincoat and I'm not wearing sunglasses or a hat is because I neglected to purchase because I neglected to grab a pair of sunglasses or a hat, because even though we've been checking the weather lately, it was surprisingly hot. It's surprisingly sunny out because it's been raining these last few days here over in Anchorage where I live. And I didn't think it would get this, and it turns out the forecast wasn't lying. It would get warm in Palmer. So I just bought a corn dog from the corn dog stand, and I surprisingly got it that quick. I wasn't expecting it. This is already full of surprises, and I just arrived. So I just ordered some peanut potatoes with my mother and step-grandfather, and they were good, just like how I normally would. In fact, we were actually sitting right near the Blue Bonnet stage for those who have been to the fairgrounds, and there was a guy, I couldn't tell if it was an audio recording or an actual person, but it kind of sounded like a professional masculine voiceover used on those CD disc laser lens cleaner discs used if you have dirty laser lens on physical media devices like DVD players and CD players. You know, as a matter of fact, I probably never told anybody this about physical media to me, but I have a pet peeve for it being mishandled. So I just took a look at those farm exhibits as you just saw, and they're pretty fascinating if you ask me. But not only that, but when I was looking at the exhibits earlier, it was surprisingly starting to feel a little chilly, like I just like as if barns had air conditioning. So I just got myself an ice cream bar from Divine Dips for gourmet ice cream, and I asked for, and even though I asked for ordinary chocolate, not white, but I'm trying to also remember that nobody's perfect in this world. Yeah, but sometimes perfection, sometimes imperfection, constant imperfection can have consequences. So I just walked by the Alaska State Troopers exhibit by my left, and for those of you who have saw an animation I posted to YouTube last November, you may remember that the Alaska State Troopers wound up taking on the Alaska State Troopers actually managed to take on Wario, Waluigi, Mona, Ashley, and Red, as well as 5-volt, 13 amp, 9-volt, and 18-volt after robbing this First National Bank Alaska, the Seward branch. If you ask how I know so much about Alaska, is because because you got to remember that I live in Alaska. So yeah, that animation I just brought up, yeah, you gotta, just thought I'd let you know that, because every time I do animations on YouTube, I like, especially if they're set in the real world, I like to keep the setting and the geography as faithful as possible. went by the amusement park rides, and let me tell you this, even though they might seem, despite the irony about their name, but in recent years I have not found amusement parks very amusing lately. I don't know what it is. I guess it's just an age thing, because I never can feel any excitement. For some reason, I just can't feel excitement over going on an amusement park ride like I used to. I do not know I do not know why. Back when I found amusement parks amusing when I was a kid, I always liked going on the Gravitron because when this thing is spinning around, how light you could feel, and I almost felt my stomach tucking in. Also, I'm outside the West Coast Diner area. For those who don't notice about this logo about Burger Palace, good food, look at the word Palace. Does the font format look familiar? For those that don't, it's the same font format for my YouTube channel logo. I'll pull it up on the screen in post-production when I edit this. So I just returned to the RV aisle exhibits of the entire fairgrounds, and for those of you who have seen my recent vids on YouTube, you might notice that some occasions characters might operate motorhomes primarily because every time they operate motorhomes, it's the vehicles are implied to be mobile bases of operations. Because sometimes you gotta. Because sometimes while the driver is driving to their destination or something like that, the other people are in the back trying to analyze what they just discovered or something like that. And speaking of motorhomes, that I brought up earlier, if you may remember when the animation that I just mentioned to you last November, well, I'm actually inside one of these overhead campers, and one of these days. And let me all right, so here's practically this is practically what the interior, this is sort of a generalized idea about the interior of the overhead camper that Mona, Ashley, Wario, Waluigi, and Red were riding in. In fact, you may remember, matter of fact, if I can get a car and if I could go out to Seward one of these days, independently, of course, I might do a thematic analysis video about the faithfulness about how I stayed faithful to the geography of the area, so you can have a better understanding about everything. So I've been notified that that it's almost 6 o'clock and I'm gonna need to leave soon. In fact, when that time does come, it's normally when a couple of my favorite game shows come on, but I've managed to set the DVR. But anyway, I am leaving in just a little bit, so I'm going to wrap up this vlog. So thanks for watching my vlog here at the Alaska State Fair, and I hope to see you next time.